You recording me?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
So when I read to prepare for teaching this class, I read the textbook as well. And when I read it, the first part of the chapter is really that first page it's kind of an intro. It opens, it's a hook, and they do a little bit of summarizing of some key themes. And I usually write down one or two of the key themes. And then it jumps into the next section, which is the actual content. So this is like big picture, big themes, and then everything else is all of the stuff that happened in history. And that's when I really take detailed notes. But the first chunk, the first summary part, I usually jot down not the specifics of the story that they're telling, because that's just a hook. I read the story, it's an interesting way of getting into the chapter, but I dive into the part where it really starts to get into the themes that they talk about in that chapter. So for example, for this part right here, it says, it jumps into beginning in the 1660s, legislators in Virginia and Maryland hammered out the legal definition of chattel slavery, and it's going into the story of that. Now that's not as important as down here it says the process by which the institution of chattel slavery was molded to the needs of the colonial planters, right, is just one example of the way Europeans adapted principles they brought with them to the unfamiliar demands of their new surroundings. That's the big idea. So European principles brought to the new world. And when they say that, they're talking about colonies. And then the next big idea that it says is that developed in different places, specifically 3 different types of colonies, and that the economic structures developed as a result of that. So everything else that I'm going to read is going to talk about stuff that connects to Europeans bringing over their ideas and having different types of colonies. So to me, those are the 2 kind of key summary pieces from the introduction. New ideas and colonies developed differently to fit their needs in those places, right? And then I just jump into the first big section, and I look at, there's a red line there that tells me that this is a chunk of reading. I skim over. This section is about the tribute colonies. It talks about, encomiendas, we learned about that in class, Columbian Exchange, Protestant challenge to Spain, I remember that from when we were in class. And then that section ends right here. So this section is only 4 pages. Once I identify that this section is 4 pages, I usually look at the clock and I think to myself, this will probably take me maybe 30, 40 minutes. And so I'm going to go ahead and dive in, and I'm going to take notes on this section, and then I'm going to take a break. And once I take a break, before I move on to the next section, I'm going to go to the section that fits under here in the study guide. So like you, I'm taking Cornell notes of the big, important things that are going on. I pause, I take a break, I come back, and I look at, well, how does the College Board view all that information as being important? And that's what this time period key concepts chart does. It outlines the big ideas that the College Board says are important. So I'm going to skim through these key concepts until I find stuff that I haven't already read. And I'm gonna say I'm not gonna do that stuff. I'm just gonna jot down a couple key bullet points for each key concept here. Do you want me to show you an example of doing that? No. Is that enough?
Yeah.
All right.